welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're talking about a game that Stratus over here was hyped for the second we saw.
Hell yeah. And this was leading up to it even coming out. It was giving me the, we got to have this.
Yeah, whether we could get it for free or buy it, this was
Didn't matter.
No, this was, it has to be in our library. ASAP too. And we're talking about the Twilight Zone VR. So, for somebody like Stratus who grew up a big fan of the Twilight Zone.
Ah, the originals, man, the black and whites, that whole series, there wasn't, I don't think, one bad episode ever.
Well,
and they're all mind screwy, every single one of them.
Yeah, and I mean that's how they structured this game too. It's 3 episodes.
Well, yeah, that's why when I saw they're using the trademark, the Twilight Zone. So I mean,
yeah, hey, you go into that title screen and it'll say like trademark 1959, this license, this license, this license.
Yeah, I had some pretty big expectations if they were going to live true to the overall vibe of anything the Twilight Zone. And the thing with the Twilight Zone is they could have 100 episodes and they're all going to be different. So I was real curious if it was going to have that overall feel.
Which, right off the top they do. It's hard. We're going to kind of treat this like we do escape rooms, I guess you could say.
This thing's loaded with spoilers. Yeah. So we're not going to spoil anything outside the realm of what you could read from the developer on the store.
Yeah,
really.
By this thing being loaded with spoilers, not this podcast episode, this game, like it's very hard to talk about anything.
Yeah, without ruining something.
Yeah, now they did give some breakdown
of the butterfly effect.
Right. They did give some breakdowns on the 3 episodes right in the store description page.
Yep.
So as long as we stay in the realm of what they already tell you, I'm not going to feel like I gave spoilers.
No, we're fine.
It's just that, can't go too crazy. So what's cool about there being 3 episodes in this as well.
Who's the developer?
Oh, yeah, I guess we shouldn't skip ahead of, too crazy. The developer is Fun Train, and it's also published by Pocket Money Games. I swear it's funny. The first time I read the name, I read it as Pocket Monkey Games.
Monkey?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it took me a second to go, no, it's Pocket Money Games.
And you got the reviews?
So besides the developer and publisher, the game is also rocking a 4.6 overall on the official Oculus Quest store, or official MetaQuest store, with 59 total ratings and 45 written reviews. And
which is a good disparity, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the game just came out July 14th. So it's pretty new. I mean, geez, you know the way things go. By the time this episode drops, their ratings and the reviews will probably be a little bit different. But, nonetheless, the game's getting some hype. As it should. There's a lot of Twilight Zone fans.
4.6 is pretty good. Yeah, and I think every one of them is going to go into it with an expectation of wanting that
classic Twilight Zone feel.
How do you pull off a Twilight Zone vibe and feel?
Yeah, well, what's interesting about this game, too, is it's kind of like Vader Immortal in the sense that it's like more of a one-time cinematic playthrough game. You're not going to get a bunch of replayability in this.
Not a ton, but there's certain things that...
But I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think that the store has a place for that.
No, but there is a little replayability because, I mean, unless you're just an ace the first time you play every mission, there's some achievements that you can get to unlock other things.
When you're on the main menu, if you go into extras, you'll see, I don't want to give any spoilers of what any of them do, but you get a bonus feature for finishing the game just by default. And then there's various different items that you can find, which it'll tell you what the item that you need to find is.
Yeah, they'll self-spoil it if you look at the extras.
So if you find an item, you'll know that, like, okay, I need to grab that. I found 1 or 2 of them.
Did not help me. Yeah, I found a couple of things, but nothing.
So there is some replayability in that regard, but that's also part of the reason that we're going to treat it more like an escape room review where, instead of doing a replayability part of our final review and thoughts, we're replacing that with difficulty. Because it's not really fair.
Which is fair.
Yeah, it's not really fair to talk about replayability in a game like this because it's made as more of a cinematic one-time playthrough like Vader Immortal.
Yeah, again, no, I won't call it a one-time playthrough.
Yeah.
If you're into achievements.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And some of them are pretty intriguing to me.
Well, okay, I finished Vader Immortal. I don't think I would go back to episode 1 of Vader Immortal and play them all again.
But if there was something you could get for doing it, would you do it?
Probably, but here's the thing. There's a scene selection in this game.
Yeah.
So I'd probably be more inclined to just go back to the individual scene.
If you knew where that item was.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
I don't know. See what I'm saying? So I'm thinking at least 2, maybe 3 playthroughs, and I think
just to get everything?
Just to make sure you had everything checked that you wanted to. But that's it. But on the other side, and this is where I'll agree with you, if you're not that person, you're just like, I just want the initial experience, and I played it through and completed it, then you don't have to play it again.
Yeah, well, to finish what I was going to say, too, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. Like, I think that these type of, popular existing titles like Star Wars with Vader Immortal or Twilight Zone with this, these are great intro to VR titles. I mean, Vader Immortal was one of the first games I bought on the MetaQuest, and it was simple, and it pretty much sold me on, or partially what sold me on VR was that experience. And so you're a Twilight Zone fan, you buy your headset, this is one of the first things you buy. Yeah, you're not going to go back and play it 100 times, but it's well done, it's polished, it's fun, it's immersive.
It's affordable.
It's affordable. It's $19.99.
$19, not bad.
Each episode is pretty much a different game and gameplay, so it teaches you a lot of different elements of VR. You have some like stealth aspects, you have some puzzle game, some escape room type aspects, some shooting action aspects. So it's just a great intro to VR title. I think that these titles are very important to have on the store as well. Even though they're not a game that, you're going to play as much as maybe Walkabout or Pop 1, that's not a bad thing.
No, it fills well, done properly, it definitely fills a niche that, because let's be honest, story 1, 2, and 3 they have, but you thinking there's going to be some more? Because it would make sense that they could keep pushing this. They're just episodes.
It's one of those things that, like, I think if they didn't, the game's still great, and it could stop exactly as now. I know that they've done some bug fixes, so maybe that's where their attention focused, but I don't think it needs more episodes. I think if they wanted to go that route, oh my God, they could do as many as they wanted.
Exactly. So it could be a continuing series if they choose to do so.
I would imagine my brain would go if they did more episodes, it would probably be DLC.
I wouldn't mind paying. I'd pay $10 an episode.
Ooh, $10 an episode. I was thinking more $5 an episode because
$5.99 or whatever.
5 to 10 an episode would be fair though, because I think if we're going to be reasonable, we were talking about this a little bit off air before. Anything that has a big name attached, like Star Wars, or if we ever see a Harry Potter, or pretty much anything with Disney, or anything with a big brand, Twilight Zone, you're never going to see below $15 for the base game because there's licensing costs and things like that. So that probably would carry over to DLC as well. I think you're probably right with your $10 guess. That would probably be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be in par, or anywhere between, I guess, $4.99 just sounds real small for
what they're bringing.
Which if you want to whiz through these chapters, maybe you can do them in an hour a piece.
I think it's fair to say that each chapter would be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah,
I think
depending on your play style. If you want to inspect everything and check out everything, then I'd say 2 hours.
Because I failed plenty of times. There's a lot of opportunities to die in each episode. So I didn't exactly whiz through it. I'd say maybe my total playtime was probably around 6 hours. I think that sounds probably right.
The last one I whipped through.
The easiest, I agree.
Yeah. I went through that one pretty darn fast.
So we can even give read to the listeners what the store says about each episode too. It's like episode 1 is, they call it character building. You're a video game director who discovers that the workplace cruelty is dangerous. I'll let you fill in your brain from there. They do a great job with that. The second one is, they call it terra firma. It says after an environmental apocalypse, one survivor must face mysterious phantoms as he searches the cities for a glimmer of hope. So that one's a much more apocalyptic. It actually gave me a little bit of like Fallout vibes. I'm a big Fallout fan, so that one was probably the scariest one to me. The first one didn't creep me out too much. It was just a lot of fun. The second one though, like, I got that feeling in my stomach at some moments while playing. I was like, ooh, I just want to finish this one and move on. And then the third one is the clock is ticking for a science fiction writer who finds himself captive inside an alien vessel, which I'm surprised they put that as the episode description. I probably wouldn't have written that because, like, it's very obvious that happens in the episode, but the first 2 episode descriptions are, like, very spoiler-free. That one's a little bit of a spoiler, I'd say. I mean, like, you don't find that out right away, especially inside an alien vessel. So maybe that one's a little spoilish, but hey, that's what the store says,
No, it just implies that there's going to be something with an alien vessel.
Yeah, which I think, so...
I mean, it's not going to take away from the experience, but I know what you mean. I probably wouldn't have
worded it like that.
I wouldn't have mentioned alien at all.
No, I probably would have said the clock is ticking for a science fiction writer who's trying to meet his deadline.
Yeah, and it's titled Chapter 3 is what? Deadline Earth. So.
Yeah, I think I skipped that part.
Yeah, it's all good.
But, I mean.
Shit, they could have just had story 1 be called character building
Yeah,
I'm
they
happy.
didn't even need to do any.
Terra Firma. I agree with you with the Fallout vibe though.
Yeah,
And that was
definitely the scariest one to me. And it's not that like it was
gave me
horror
some
scary.
creepy.
Oh, it was the
Remember,
environment.
because we were playing in party chat a couple of times. It's not a party chat game, but
We always play party chat.
We always do.
Which we don't give each other spoilers and stuff. That's very important that we don't.
But every once in a while, some shit will happen, and or where I know I was saying, I'm like, I was just a little ahead of you, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. I don't like that. You can hear it in the voice of a person that obviously something's gonna go down. So they did a good job with bringing out some anxiety in me.
There's some jump scares. So like if one of us was a little bit ahead, obviously the person who's behind would hear the person scream. And then, the times that I was ahead, I would sit there and I'd wait for you to hit that point. And the second I heard you scream, or I know you do it, vice versa, you're already laughing because you know the exact spot.
You know exactly what happened.
There's even one part in Chapter 3 because, like, I went to go play Episode 3 without you. That was going to be the first one that we played solo. And then once it became obvious to me that it was aliens, and obviously I can talk about that because it's in the episode description. Once I saw it was aliens, I was like, pause. I gotta wait for this dude. This one's gonna be freaking cool.
Yeah, that one was good.
But then I had experienced a little bit of a jump scare. I'll say because all the episodes have jump scares. I'll tell you right now, there's not a single one that you're not gonna go whoa at some point. So I'd already experienced it. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for you to, I'm even going slow, waiting for you to catch up. And then I hear you scream, and I was like, "What happened?" And you're like, "You know what happened?
You know exactly what happened. You fucking waiting for it." Yeah, giggling just like that too. Tell me what part you're at. Tell me what part you're at. I'm like, ah, shit, something's going down. I know it's going down because I heard your reaction.
Yeah, and it's like the ones that are stealthy, like I won't really spoil which episode has which gameplay elements, but the stealth elements are done really well. I struggled with that actually. Like I died a lot of times. I got the hang of it, but it was hard.
I have a hard time with games that don't give me a weapon.
Yeah, and there's
something about the because let's be honest, I mean, even a stapler, if you needed it, would be something. So when a game restricts your ability, and I played others that are doing this, do the same thing where, maybe you have a camera. That's your way, great. You got to run from scary monsters with a camera. But there's something that just feels so vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Because really, you either hide or you get killed. I mean, it's just that simple. But
well, the thing that was killing me in the stealth one wasn't scary.
No.
It was funny, but I still got scared when he was trying to kill me.
The first time it kind of it didn't scare me, but I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Cool. There was a little bit more of that jump scare feel of, oh, shit, there he is. There's a couple times that, I had that happen. It was more funny, but it's still frightening when you know your character's going to die and there's nothing you can do. You got no weapon. You got nowhere to run. You're trapped. You're like, and because it's in VR, even though it's a video game. It feels
different.
It does.
It feels a little, you know what I really like when you, and again, I won't spoil nothing, but I'll just say, they did pay homage to Rod Serling.
Yeah, obviously they didn't have the real Rod Serling because rest in peace.
Be hard to get him to show up to work for that job.
Yeah.
But the voiceover actor they got actually has a little similarity qualities in the voice, so that was appreciated. And the overall load-in experience is
yeah, I'm not going to give spoilers on this.
That's when
whoever designed the tutorial,
you're definitely going into the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Well, besides just the intro video and all that, whoever designed that tutorial, good job. Good job. When I finished the tutorial, I was like, okay, I'm in a Twilight Zone game and I'm ready.
Yeah.
I won't give spoilers but it's a well done tutorial. And the game controls are very basic. They even when you look at the how to play, you use the
most of your buttons are gone.
Yeah, you use the triggers and the analog stick, and then the face buttons on the Oculus controller. There's nothing. There's one actual part in one of the episodes where you can use it to turn on a TV. You can use the A button, but other than that button is never used at any point in the game.
Yeah, I used my trigger.
You used the trigger?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it registered with me with the A button, so I didn't even need to use the...
Yeah, pretty sure I used the trigger for that. No, they give you a good amount of settings for comfort control as well.
And you know what was cool? Because it's Twilight Zone, they do a good job justifying the environment that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't immersion breaking, where there's many times in the game where they have real faces or real video playing of like a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're in a video game or a digital environment, you pick up a picture and it's a picture of a real person.
Yeah.
Or you go into a room and there's 12 pictures on the wall of employee of the month, and I look and I go, motherfucking Shoes is on the wall. And this was one of the times where you were a little bit behind me. I won't even say which episode it was in or anything like that, or I won't say what month he was or anything like that. I don't want to dox the guy. But like, we go into one of the rooms and I'm like, I know what Shoes looks like. One of the Time Shoes is one of our podcast listeners. If you go subscribe to our Discord community, and you'll see him on the subreddit a lot too. You'll definitely see Shoes every episode. Shoes kind of does like a best of moments on Reddit, where he timestamps some funny things, counts how many times we say shit in 100%, just to keep us on our toes. But I look, and on one of the months there's a picture of Shoes, and so 10 seconds later you get in there and you're like, dude, that's 100% Shoes.
Yeah, it's definitely him.
So I had to call him out on it, and I was like,
I wasn't gonna mention the employee of the month thing.
Yeah,
I was gonna just make people search for it.
That's a good point.
There's so many pictures in there.
That's a good point.
You just narrowed it down.
That's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
But happy hunting.
Yeah, but
no, that was weird to see, because I actually for a minute I was like, did someone steal his picture? Like,
well,
are they
is it a stock photo? And then
yeah.
So I had to call him out, and I was like, yo, Shoes, like, do you work on video games? Like, what's going on? He's like, nah, I beta tested on it a little bit. And
no, but that was cool to see that they would even do something like that for the people that even participated. So no, happy hunting with that if you are in the Discord or Reddit.
Yeah, you want to go find one of our members?
Yeah.
I'll say on one of the photos.
I won't blow his spot.
No, but there's Shoes in the game. I was like, look at him immortalized. So that was pretty random to see. I was unexpected. But they did a great job, man. I was really looking forward to seeing what each episode was, especially once I realized that each episode wasn't at all the same gameplay mechanics. I was like, ooh.
No, and there's some things I want to say, and
it's so hard. I really can't. One. It's so hard on this one.
But each episode, yes, they've definitely brought their own. Each one is not going to be like the last one per se, as far as, obviously basic movement, but.
And they did a good classic Twilight Zone where in the end, the stories are well written. The episodes are phenomenal. I like the story in each one. And I mean, I know you saw the ending of a lot of them coming by the time that it was approached, but guess what? You watched a lot of episodes of Twilight Zone. You know how the structure of that show goes. They did a good job paying homage to the,
hell yeah,
the original episodes, and it feels like the Twilight Zone.
No, dude, I have such little bad to say about it, but going into it, one could argue you're biased because
it's a series that you loved.
You used to watch the Twilight Zone. I'm like, shit, I'll still watch the Twilight Zone. I watch the old ones. I don't want anything new. I want old Twilight Zones. So yeah, it was just. But you saw how I was when it was coming out. I was like, come on, dude.
And even the trailer for this game when it was first announced didn't show anything of the game. It was like more of like a real, but like still we were like, we got to get it.
No, so, but they do a good job of their story tie-ins and non-tie-ins, and I can't say shit.
Yeah, it's
just, I really can't. It's to me it's more of a puzzle game than.
Yeah, even the combat.
Puzzle /
I'll say right now, it was cool having the shooting elements in it, but if there was no gun in there at any point, I think I would have enjoyed the game just as much.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I had to. A couple of areas I had to really use my brain.
Well, okay, so here's the awesome part about us doing party chat but not giving each other spoilers. We never get stuck at the same exact spots, the same exact puzzles. So there's plenty of puzzles that you blew through or I blew through that chances are if it was really easy for one of us, the other one's going to struggle on that one.
Yeah, it's always funny to hear too, because some, like you had said, I think I was stuck on something. You're like, oh, it sucks because it's so obvious.
And because I know you, when you find it out, you're going to be like, oh, are you serious?
So they did a great job, and sometimes the obvious isn't obvious.
Yeah, it just depends on where your brain is there. I mean, there was one that I told you I struggled for like 5 minutes on, and you're like, what? You're like, how?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know.
It's just how we all see things. That's what makes puzzle rooms so cool, too.
Yeah,
because you have multiple, you have multiple people in there with you, and each one might think a little different, so it's a little easier to narrow down on
Yeah, I would say of all of the genres that this game is, between adventure, shooter, everything, I would say that the escape room and puzzle elements are what stand the strongest to me.
Yeah, the story.
The story is amazing.
Yeah, the story, and then, I'd say story first, then puzzle.
I was talking about actual gameplay elements. I wasn't even considering the story in there. That was something that I was probably the most skeptical of. I was like, how corny is it going to be?
Well, dude, that's where I was going to be the most critical.
Yeah. I mean, because, let's be real. If it's going to be like a Twilight Zone game, I want to get, some twists. I want to get some spooky. I want to get that. It doesn't have to necessarily be scary, but it just has to be
Although there
weird.
were some scary moments.
Man, the only one that really spooked me out was episode 2, and it was nothing even scary itself. It was just the environment.
Yeah, something about being in VR, and especially the way they did this one.
There was a certain point where I think I was halfway through it where I was like, I'll be honest with you, this is very well done. I'm having fun. It's a good episode, but I just want to be done with it. And it's because I was getting
anxiety.
I was getting that, not anxiety, I guess you could say maybe a little, but I was
anxious.
I'm getting that feeling in my stomach. I'd rather be somewhere happier right now. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, again, I mean, and they even make you prepare
I want to say
and
when you feel it, but there's one part in the second episode where you get out, where you're you, and it's just the realization of what this episode is gonna be hits, and it's oh no, I know this is 2 hours of gameplay. I hope it's not all like this.
Oh yeah, no, it can cause some anxiety, I'd say, in that episode.
Yeah, I mean, the other ones were cool and spooky, and it's not bad that they weren't horror-ish, but yeah, no, that one definitely got the better of me. So which one do you think was your favorite?
The last one.
I think so too, just because I'm biased towards aliens. That's why as soon as I saw it, it was going that route. I went, pause. I gotta wait for you to hop on because I gotta hear your opinions about this at the same time.
No, the last episode, I'll call it, was definitely I'd say the most enjoyable and educational, and kind of had a little bit of everything going on.
Yep, some good like you said, they all have good tie-ins, good references. Man, I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say this. I'll throw it out there just so that people know that it exists. I didn't even find this. You told me this today. I thought this was freaking awesome. You found a Baby Yoda? It didn't unlock anything special.
No, you can't grab it or interact with it, but there is a Baby Yoda in there
on one of the episodes.
Yeah,
I was like, man,
I can see it right now. I know exactly where it is.
I'm so disappointed I didn't find it. I mean, the games are linear, the story, to my knowledge. I mean, hey, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty confident the game only goes one direction with story, so it's linear in that regard. But how you get there isn't exactly you're guaranteed to follow this path or anything. There's some parts you can wander off quite a bit.
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of places I never went to because I was so focused on just getting to the.
Especially that episode too, man.
Just want to get the hell out of here. The sooner the better.
I'll be honest too, man. There was one point in episode 2 where maybe it was just because I was getting the longer that I was in it, the more I was feeling it. But I was I feel like the longer this progresses, every time I think I'm going to a new environment and it might get a little better, it's getting worse. It's just getting worse and worse.
No, the environment you're in Story 2 is less than pleasant. And for some reason, being in VR, you
feel it more.
You're feeling it.
So what was it like for you? So somebody who grew up, loving Twilight Zone, what was it to be in VR as the character?
Well, what's funny is
in the episode,
sometimes when I'd get stuck on something, I would actually have to remember
how
this is the Twilight Zone. So really anything and everything is possible. And it really changed the way I think, but I give them the biggest homage to the Twilight Zone with the story more than probably the gameplay. They did a good job of
making it feel like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to go, well, I wouldn't believe that was a Twilight Zone. It's absolutely. If these were done with actors and there was, a story specific and the scenery, yeah, it would have been a real story.
Yeah, no, I give the writers.
And it wouldn't have been disappointing at the end either. You would have the end of everything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know you figured out most of the endings, but you've watched so many Twilight Zone.
Well, yeah, because I was trying to think
where is this going? Because it can't be the obvious.
It's never the obvious ever.
if it was the obvious, then we wouldn't be saying that they did a good job with the
yeah,
writer.
no, if it feels right, it's probably wrong.
So,
oh
man,
But when every story ended, I like felt good. I was like,
yeah.
oh, damn.
I remember
they that's exactly how it would be.
I finished episode 3 a little bit before you, and I was like, no spoilers. But they did a good job with the story. And
yeah, you were really giving them kudos.
And
for
you were
like,
and you were like, I'm hopping on right now.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to finish it.
Yeah, I was more interested in the whole
the story.
Because the vibe of the Twilight, I guess anybody could say, well, our game does that too, you know. But
it's
the
the
story
Twilight Zone.
And that feeling when the story ends, like, technically I didn't know that was going to happen.
The narration too.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen just at the end. You know, you get a little narration halfway through sometimes. It's, oh, man, I don't know.
But the immersion was I like being part of immersion stories.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy that a lot.
And again, I know that there's more to unlock. Just realistically, I'm probably not going to go back through and play each episode again. But to me, it's worth every penny for $19.90 to be able to experience this. And this is one of the things that I would use to show somebody who came over my house, and it's like, have you ever tried VR before? No, I'm probably going to show them a game like this. It's not complicated, teaches you different VR mechanics, but it's mostly just a really
not complicated in the game controls, but
exactly.
The
it's
mental
easy to learn.
Mental control.
Complexity of like how to complete the next part.
Give it to a 5-year-old, they're going to be there for a lifetime.
But they don't need to sit there and go, well, how do I do this? It's very, just pull triggers.
Very minimal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a great intro VR game. I think I don't know. I'm glad that it's on the store. Even though, obviously, I'm not going to play it a bunch of times. I usually don't rewatch movies a bunch either, and that's kind of how I consider these more. I mean, shit, it was worth every penny.
Yeah, it was a fun, definitely an experience. Somewhat original and somewhat not, with the puzzle games and all that.
Yeah, the gameplay, again...
I mean, you can, if you've played one, it's not hard to figure out, but the story that goes with it, and, the same with Shell Games, I Expect You to Die, the second one.
Yeah.
Had a good story.
Yeah.
And that means a lot, but that's where I was going to be the most critical when I played this game.
Yeah.
I would have forgiven some of the actual gameplay if it...
Shout out to Atlas Mystery, too. That's another good one with... Really good story, but
escape rooms and stories, yeah.
But none of these escape rooms and puzzle games rewrite the wheel. None of them are bringing brand new, innovative features, but they're freaking fun. And exactly what you're saying. Why are they fun?
The story,
yeah.
If there's no story, it's legit.
I'm really not interested.
And I've done a few of those, not in VR, but just like I think just not too long ago, an escape room type app or some shit, and I was like, I wanted to try it for the puzzles. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was an Xbox Gold game there.
And there was just no story attached to it?
No, because of the lack of story, what do you got to do? You just focus on a couple of things and then this happens. But to be part of that story and the things I do are going to make the story progress or not, because that's certainly possible in some cases. Yeah, it felt good. I enjoyed it. I appreciate what they brought to the table. I definitely am going to play it a couple more times because there's things I want.
But you're a huge Twilight Zone fan.
I wouldn't even be upset at myself if I cheated and asked somebody, hey, exactly where can I find this specific thing so I can make sure that, I can get this unlocked. But
I consider that much less of a spoiler than the actual story spoilers.
Yeah.
So now that you know the story, it's like, who really cares?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's like, do you really want to know where that item is? Do you really want to wander around episode 2?
Remember, I made the joke too. I said, how much you bet so much stuff is in episode 2?
Just because that was our...
You want it bad, you're going to have to earn it.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it almost made me realize that with the immersion of VR, depending on how well of the environment they put you in, they can really invoke heart rate and breathing.
I'm happy that this was on the Quest too.
Yeah.
Like the limitations of the Quest too.
Yeah. Photorealism with this might have just
been a little too much.
Sent myself over the edge there.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had a couple moments.
So you're like, my heart's beating.
In the second one, I'm like, man, I'm sweating.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the overall reality of the
longer you spent in it.
Yeah, and the sound effects going on and things going on and the unknown that I don't know what's going on. And, I'm supposed to do shit, and it's just a pretty hostile-looking environment. And
there's some audio going on in the second one that I don't want to say exactly what, but I would I would akin it to like Goliath level of fuck with me.
Yeah.
Just the way it's like.
Yeah, portrayed, but without giving spoilers, I'll just say that there's going to come a time when you're playing this that they're going to ask you to do something vocally. Put some good feeling and meaning into it.
Yeah, and that was nothing too scary to me.
No.
That part. But
no,
like
for saying it?
Yeah, So what I'll say is like don't think that you putting effort and like getting real with saying it is going to like, well, I don't want to shit my pants and be terrified. Like, it's more cool.
Yeah. Yeah. If you half-ass what they're asking you to do,
it might take away.
When whatever reasons and things happen, whatever, you'll probably be like, oh, I wish I did that better.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's nothing scary. It's just cool.
No. It's cool. I definitely would promote put a little extra.
I went full voice actor on that one.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, you could pretty much even give me like Scream if you wanted, and I would have said it with that tone.
Scream. That's too friggin' funny.
No, but I love that stuff. The first time that we ever experienced.
I want more.
Yeah.
I want more chapters.
Yeah, and I hate. Well,
it's my biggest problem right now.
I'm glad that you said that. It's worth paying for it because like nothing's worse than hey, give me more. I mean, I felt like I got $20 worth of enjoyment out of this.
Yeah, I got 3 TV shows.
The only reason I want more chapters, or I love that they call them episodes. The only reason I want more episodes in this season is because like it was freaking good, and I agree with you. I gladly pay for them. I mean, like,
listen, $9.99 for another bulk of three stories, or 2 stories.
I was thinking before you were saying $9.99 an episode.
Well, how many stories could be in an episode? You could be limitless. You could have some that are 1. You could have some that are 2, 3. You might even have one that's like 4 stories in an episode. Who knows? But I want more.
Mm-hmm.
I want. Hey. They got the rights to use the Twilight Zone.
I want to find out about that.
I want some more content for the Twilight Zone.
And I'll pay for it.
And it's not a knock. Yeah. No, it's not a knock at all.
It's just because it was good.
They did good. And it's like, all right, if they can still run with that theme and take it different directions. Because what they did is done. We don't need to do that again. Just like the series. When you saw an episode, they were never the same twice.
Yeah. And the only reason that I at any point rushed to the next part was not to like try to speed run it because like, I want to get this done. It was because I was dying to know the next part of the story.
Absolutely.
There was never a dull moment to
There's a definite purpose from start to end to this.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think that there was a single dull moment in this from start to finish. There was I don't think that there was a single part where I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of wandering. Like, no, it was like there's always an advancement of story.
And the puzzles, I don't want to confuse it because I guess technically it's not a puzzle game, but there is puzzles in there, but they're not like a puzzle every 10 feet or you're not moving or anything.
Technically on the Oculus store,
it's listed as puzzle.
It's listed it's listed as an adventure, horror, puzzle, shooting game.
Yeah. They've covered all the genres.
Yeah. So puzzle is in there. Like it is a puzzle game, absolutely.
Yeah.
To me that's the strongest gameplay element.
It's not it's not like like every 10 feet.
Yeah, I would say adventure and puzzle is where I would classify this game the most. The horror wasn't. It was more like the moments that gave me anxiety or stuff. It was more spooky, not like horror, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the shooting, like I said, I could.
Amount of jump scares is not over the top either. So
to me, they were.
Although
funny.
they did their job because
they were funny jump scares to me because I would go, motherfucker. I was like, you fucking son of a. You, It wasn't like anything like the Ring or anything like that, Yeah. So no, they did a great job with story, gameplay, jump scares. I mean, for being a Twilight Zone game, I feel like they really checked those boxes.
Yeah, I felt everything I needed to feel. Compelling story that definitely compelled me. Genuine. I had genuine anxiety or something. I had some fear, anxiety. I don't know what the hell it was, but mid the second story, for some reason, I just felt off. So I had to take a little break. Go back to reality. So they obviously did good.
Yeah. No, I want to give big props to whoever wrote these.
I want to re-talk about these when they come out with new shit, though. And this has been around for a while because there is a lot of things I want to say about the actual levels.
Yeah, I might make a spoiler thread on the Reddit and just say, if anybody wants to talk about the game, who's beaten the game, do it here.
I'm not even going to post.
I mean, if it says spoiler...
I know.
I don't see the problem in that.
That's true.
Why would you click on that if it says spoiler?
I get it.
Yeah, there's never mind. But so yeah, you want to get into our final thoughts and review?
Yeah, man. Because I feel also if we keep talking about it,
we're eventually gonna come out.
Yeah, we both got notepads full of friggin' things not to say. It really limits you of what you can say.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty vague. At the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to the overall ratings and reviews anyways, and the justification as to why.
Yeah. So
just the other stuff, I can only apologize that we can't really. And when you play it, you'll know why. You'll probably actually be like, I really appreciate.
Well, dude, if I knew anything
what they didn't say,
if I knew anything about what was coming next, it would have ruined the experience for me.
Yeah.
Because the story is what was so good. If you already know the story, it's
not.
This is what it is.
No.
You know.
No. And you are in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the Twilight Zone.
So, like always, before we get to our final thoughts and review, let's pass this over to our sponsors. Help keep this ship sailing. This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in metaquest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The metaquest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered.
What's up, everyone? Crotch discomfort hurting your game? Fear no more. The kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. Sleek, soft, comfortable, and flexible, the brand new Boxers 2.0 from Manscaped take your balls to the royal ball throne. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming have the Lawnmower 4.0 for the trimming, so you can wear those Boxer 2.0s for the chillin'. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels. So let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. Let's say you're on a date and your partner catches that Manscaped on the waistband of your underwear. It's almost guaranteed to raise some eyebrows and act like a billboard on the highway to Pleasure Town. Beyond ball cleaning, Manscaped is focused on ball comforting with the new Boxers 2.0. Boost confidence everywhere you are, knowing you're wearing the absolute best pack for your sack. These boxers are a game changer, and features include the jewel pouch, a pouch designed to cradle your boys in their own special space, lined with perforated performance fabric to keep them well ventilated. Is this heaven on earth? Nope, more like heaven on girth. The micro-modal fabric is buttery soft and breathable, keeping your cucumber cool. Walk, run, strut, these moisture-wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. The tagless waistband hugs your body without digging in, and it lays flat against your skin to reduce chafing. Be proud of your underwear and wear the Manscaped waistband with a badge of honor. Your balls deserve it. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with our code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. Up your crotch game, because once the Boxers 2.0 touch your sack, you'll never go back.
And then, like always, I always like say I've actually referenced it a couple of times. We have an official podcast communities on Discord and Reddit, so you can find those links in our show notes if you want to go join a bunch of other podcast fans. This past weekend we did a fun little game of walkabout. We're talking about doing more next weekend, so come interact with us, some other podcast listeners, and just join some fun. Also, wait, I almost forgot last week.
No, I was going to remind you.
Oh, my goodness. I
wasn't going to let it slide. I was waiting to see where you were going.
I completely forgot 2 weeks ago. I almost forgot last week. Yeah. And now I almost forgot again. So, for the month of July, it's the nomination period for the yearly podcast awards. So, the link will be in our show notes, our episode description. Just, hey, it's out of our hands now. It'd be cool to put some gold on the podcast studio and say that we won a podcast award. So, we're up for nomination in 2 categories. Obviously, leisure podcast. That's what we are in podcasting. We're in the video game category, which is a subcategory of leisure podcast. So we're up for nomination for the best leisure podcast. And then also there's the Adam Curry People's Choice Award, which is pretty much just an open category of shit. What's your favorite podcast is how I interpret that category.
And you can vote for both.
Yep. So
if you want.
We're up for nomination.
A lot of good podcasts.
Yeah. That's why even just to get to because this is the listener nomination period. So they have all of their pre-nominees, I guess you could say, which is that's where we are. We're pre-nomies. And then if we make it past this part, in August they release their final slate of just the finalists of it. The only way we get on that final slate is,
yeah, and you can actually sign up as well to be one of the judges. They have
not judges. So what they do is they
random folk.
Yeah, I think they contact some percentage of the total people who voted, and they ask like,
cool,
why did you vote for these people, and they take that into consideration for the award.
No, it's cool because your vote really does matter. Yeah. So if you've ever been one like, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh shit, it actually does.
And they actually even give you a ticker where they go, hey, check this box if you want to be one of the people who's potentially contacted to justify why you. Yeah. Okay. So it's pretty cool stuff. So vote for us there in the leisure and the Adam Curry.
Psyched to be nominated.
Yeah, man. Like I said, imagine putting some gold in the studio. Cool shit. So nonetheless, usually our categories are a little bit different, like we do for escape rooms and puzzle games. It's hard to do the replayability category with those. It's not really fair. They're not designed to be replayable. It's almost setting them up to have a worse score than they justify. What we do is we replace that category with difficulty. So what it comes down to being is gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, value, and difficulty, each rated 1 to 20, with the final score of all those added up being the final score. So I'll start with gameplay. Dude, I think if I gave anything less than a 20 after saying that they knocked the gameplay and the story out of the park for the last 40 minutes, it would be very weird. It's a clear 20 gameplay. Like, they did a great job with the Twilight feel, the Twilight story, everything like that. Aesthetics, I think 15 is where my score has been a lot recently, and that's where it ended up here. It's obviously nothing that's like we said last week with the first-person tennis. It's good graphics. It's just nothing that's, groundbreaking or anything like that. It's pretty impressive, I will say, the size and scope of some of the environments and the amount of interactable items, and the size of everything, the amount of environment there is, and the game's not crashing. It's pretty impressive. But I'm gonna end up with a 15 for aesthetics. Functionality, just to be honest, I don't lie to anybody. There was a couple times that I had frame rate drops, and then by the end of a couple of my episodes, my audio was off sync. Like if a video was playing, you can't even really see how hard it is to give spoilers in these ones. I could almost give a spoiler there, but like a video playing, maybe the audio was off sync from the mouth moving, and it wasn't like that at the beginning of the episode. It just happened as the episode progressed. So if I'm going to be honest, I can't give a clean 20 in functionality, but I will say my game didn't crash once. I had nothing game breaking. I had nothing that caused me to not be able to progress. Nothing I had to shut off my headset or close the game. Nothing like that. Just, minor bugs. Maybe my thing got choppy for a minute or something like that. So 15 for functionality, 20 for value. I mean, we've said that we would pay more money for more content in a heartbeat. It's one of those things that I rant for gameplay being great for 40 minutes. Can't really give them less than a 20. I can't sit here and say for the whole podcast how amazing it was for $20, then give them less than the 20. Value should have been obvious going in. Clean 20 there. In difficulty, I was a little stuck on this one because there were some parts that I breezed through, and some parts that tripped me up. But in the end, I'm going to settle with a 20 on difficulty for them, because it wasn't only the puzzles difficult. Sometimes the actual gameplay elements themselves were difficult. Like I said, I failed a lot of times in the stealth one, and that's not because it was a puzzle. That's because it was stealth. There were some times that I died in like combat situations. That's not puzzle. That's because it was hard. Like the game, there were some parts I really struggled with. I don't think it would be really fair in the end for me to give less than a 20 in difficulty. They did a great job with keeping it engaging, keeping the story great, but also challenging, Never so hard that I wanted to quit and give up, though. They did a great job with that. So I'm going to go 20 on gameplay, 15 on aesthetics, 15 on functionality, 20 on value, and 20 on difficulty. Final score being 90.
Okay. That's pretty good. Although any score is probably not bad. Gameplay, I give them a 20. They lived up to the hype, in my opinion. They had me at Twilight Zone, so take my opinion as biased as you want. Is what it is, but I don't think I think you gave them a 20 as well, to be honest with you. So it seems pretty right on. Aesthetics, I go 15. Not the worst, not the best, but it's right in that ballpark of good damn graphics. It definitely felt right. Didn't feel, or look or sound weird. Matter of fact, some of the sounds really help bring out that heartbeat. So a 15. Functionality, I didn't get the same thing you did. Weird. I don't, I can't say anything because I didn't have any issues. I might have had some frame rate drop, but I'm just so accustomed to that shit anyways, I don't really notice it. But I'll give them a 20. Difficulty, we're going to be a little different. Some of them were pretty challenging, but if I look at it in regards to like puzzle difficulty, man, there's been some other experiences I've had where those puzzles have just literally almost drained a battery at like one puzzle. And I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to spoil what that was in that game. I guess another shout out to Atlas because they killed my battery for one of their puzzles. But they're challenging. They're not. But again, I mean, like you and I said earlier, what was hard for me might not be hard for you and vice versa. So, we just had each other to laugh at knowing that they were struggling with something that you didn't, but it's still hard. So I definitely give them a 15. Value for money, a definite 20. If you're just in it for the story, and I mean, I was trying to pull it up on the TV and cast it so that my fiance could watch, so she could see, because I was trying to tell her how freaking cool it is, and sadly she can't appreciate the story value of it because she can't see it. But even if you just had the story, would know, if you watched it on TV, it would be a good episode. Damn it, So I mean, well, I can't say it's definitely $20. I'm stoked. But they get a 90 from me also. 20, 15, 20, 15, and 20.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't have, again, for the functionality, none of my issues were like game breaking or like annoying to the point that, I had to quit back to the desktop, or not to the desktop, to the home screen, or my thing crashed. But, minor frame rate drops. But I think to go with the 20 for difficulty, too, I think if I rated it, if it was just a puzzle game, I think I would have to go 15 because the puzzles weren't, they weren't 20 difficulty hard, but the gameplay was freaking hard too at points too.
Yeah, I can't argue your I can't argue a 20.
Yeah,
on
but
difficulty.
I can understand the 15 on difficulty as well. So no, I mean 90 and 90. We've been pretty generous.
90 and 90, and we got there in different ways.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we've been pretty generous last week. I think if like the last 3 or 4 episodes, we've been like 90, 95. We've just been playing some good freaking games.
This was kind of something that I know way back over a year ago we had talked about with the quality of games. It's like there was a handful of them, but not an endless supply of them. Nowadays, it's like games are just coming out on fire, dude. It's like, I don't know what to say. There's a handful down the road coming that we all know about. There's a shit ton nobody's even talking about. There's scuttlebutt of other games that may or may not get, announced.
Yeah, and then
and it's like, holy crap, so I'm not upset that the quality of game has gone up, and you can see it in the scores.
Yeah, I mean, games have just been good, and we're not able to just pump through even games that, like, example, we've been thinking that we're going to review World of Mechs for like the last month, and every week it's like, well, I think we could spend another week on it, and that's a game that I honestly thought,
blow through it.
I thought I could spend a week on it and feel ready, just on perception of how it looked on the store. I was like, it looks really fun, but I don't think that it's gonna. I mean, that'll be one that will be ready, and here we are. It's like every week we're like, you want to spend another week on World of Mechs?
I think part of our problem too is like
we're enjoying it a lot.
Well, that and we like to finish games a lot, so it's like
I don't think it's very fair to review one that you haven't.
Correct.
Because it's
so
like, all right, I got 10 minutes.
If it takes another week and you know it, and it's not like we last second it. So
no, and we don't exactly. I mean, you'll see it. I mean, some people, and I understand it. It's like game drops.
Gotta get it out. No, we can't.
It's not always like that, and I don't always feel like that's being honest to people either.
Not if you really haven't.
And
if you're gonna throw a review on it, then
I was gonna say for our
first impression, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly, but specific to us, I don't think it's fair because the way we do our gameplay categories, where we talk about value and replayability, it's like how can I give a fair rating to replayability or value if I still have 3/4 of the game to go? So
it happens.
Yeah, these games are
games get pushed.
These games are getting better. They're getting longer. They're taking longer to review. It's like, oh yeah, things are good right now.
Well, I'm excited because the overall aesthetics is going to take a jump anytime too. So it's just a matter of time before.
I'll say even this game, when I saw 3 episodes, I was like, I could probably be ready in like a day or two, right? I mean, like how long is 3 episodes going to take me?
6 hours to complete it from start to finish.
But, I mean, it took several play sessions in the end. It wasn't as quick and easy as I thought it was.
No, in your head, you're like, I could
probably go through that in a day.
Yeah, this is
no. It actually took me like, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have this review ready.
No, and I definitely didn't explore every single inch of every single area.
Really had to do some crunch time on this one. This one was like, oh man, it's catching me off guard how long this is taking me, and I.
Yeah, there were some areas, dude. I spent needless time doing nothing, just enjoying
there were some
the
notes.
Yeah, it's like
some newspapers, just things that I read. I spend a lot of times in these games going, what can I interact with? And what they did a great job in this game that I think some puzzle escape rooms fall guilty of, it's like there's some games that if you can interact with an item, you know that item is used. Like it's going to be a key item. The only things in the game that can be interactable are key items. In this game, there's so much useless shit you can pick up and look at and throw around. You can't just, you can't just figure out what's going to be an item that's important just off of grabbing random things like I've done in other games. They also do a good job like key activating things like
I think
or trigger activating, I should say. It's like you can't use this item or you can grab it, but it doesn't do anything until this event happens.
Yeah, I think games that push you forward, you lose the ability to do that, but games that are going to keep you more in a static area can do more of the triggers. But I appreciate that because I'm like you. I try to touch everything, see what I can play with, and
there's even been some escape rooms that it's like I know that this is an item because it's the only one in the room I can do something with.
But I know I got to do something before I can do that.
Yeah, but you know it's going to be coming to play. Where at this game, if you grab,
I'm not saying they did anything like that in this game at all. No. But if they did, they probably did it really well.
Yeah, in the sense that you're not just going to figure it out off of grabbing things. It's like if every item that you could pick up was important to the story.
And that's where I'll give them credit again in the overall aesthetics, meaning more than just the graphics, but the sounds, because it's like
there's a lot of Easter eggs too.
There's a lot of sounds that you can pick up. Obviously something has changed, or besides the obvious visuals in other areas. But no, the overall experience, I just wish, selfishly, for a game that's not been out for months and months, I want more.
Yeah. But you'll pay for it. Like that's the thing. It's like it was freaking good.
I like this style of being involved in the show.
You're the main character in a Twilight Zone episode, dude.
How can you not have fun? And if you just want a piece of that old school Twilight Zone vibe, I think they played proper homage. So
yeah, I think
I'd put it as a definite fun experience.
I think for anybody who enjoyed Twilight Zone, I'd say it's a must-own. You're going to get enjoyment out of it.
You'd have to have it.
If you didn't like Twilight Zone, you don't like escape rooms or whatever, then like
it's probably not for you.
No, but if you're going to get like real appreciation out of like classic references to the show, that real Twilight Zone feel, this game is for you. And I think that the way that they did the episode structure is beautiful. They could stop now at 3 and it would be great. It would be done. Or they could build more and they could go endlessly. They don't have to be related.
I'll go with more.
Yeah, more. Give me more.
Give me more.
No, I'm excited to see what the future is for Twilight Zone and Fun Train.
Game, great experience.
Fun Train, man. We'll wrap things up in a minute, but they've scored some like name properties already. You know, they did Tarzan, they did this one. It's like they seem like the studio that when, like, you know, these big IPs are coming, maybe they hit them up. You know, they seem to do them justice.
I'll say that they don't let negative things hold them back either.
No.
So, I mean, I'll just leave it at that. But I think they've pushed forward really well.
Yeah, well, I'll say that it's getting these titles are their own skill. You know, it's like, oh, hey, I want to make a SpongeBob game. Being able to get that connection, establish that, get the licensing, that's its own skill. You know, it's not like something you just roll out of bed, send one email, and it's done. So Fun Train seems to be able to secure that. So I'm excited to see what the future comes with them, too.
More Twilight Zone, baby.
Oh, yeah. So, like always, if you enjoy this episode, you know, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and go check out our subreddit, man. We're having a lot of fun, and our Discord.